Sometimes when we think of fear, we think of a dark, often cold place with no hope, only despair. It can be very difficult to see anything else. We will strain our eyes but still see nothing, and that makes the despair worse. It can also be a well of pain with no way out. The way out is a spark of hope, someone who can bring relief out of the despair. This presentation reviews fear-based interventions across research and practice. We'll look at what works, like exposure and reappraisal, and what doesn't, such as avoidance and suppression. This presentation is brought to you by the Center for Trauma and Resilience Research and Dr. Meg Robertson, lead researcher.
Is fear a friend or a foe? Fear is one of the most primal human emotions, an internal alarm system essential for survival. It heightens awareness, it mobilizes energy, and promotes avoidance of danger. In its adaptive form, fear protects life. Yet when fear becomes exaggerated, distorted, or inescapable, it lies at the heart of many psychological disorders, including anxiety, PTSD, and phobia. Fear conditioning. Understanding how neutral stimuli become associated with fear responses helps clinicians map the origin of maladaptive fear. This is foundational in disorders like PTSD or specific phobias. Extinction learning. Extinction involves repeated exposure to a feared stimulus without the expected negative outcome. It gradually weakens the fear response. It is central to exposure therapy. Exposure therapy. It is systematic, repeated, and often graded exposure helps clients confront feared stimuli or memories. Done in a safe context, it allows for new learning to override fear-based associations. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, empowers clients to identify and restructure distorted beliefs about threat danger and vulnerability. It combines cognitive reappraisal with behavioral strategies to reduce avoidance and promote adaptive coping. Mindfulness therapy helps clients develop present moment awareness and non-judgmental acceptance. Backed by strong research, it's shown to reduce anxiety, depression, and stress by improving emotional regulation. It changes brain patterns, lowering reactivity and increasing clarity. Mindfulness is often used alongside CBT and other therapies to support long-term healing and self-awareness.
The definition of fear. Fear is a fundamental and primitive emotional response to a perceived threat or danger. It activates the body's fight or flight response, resulting in physiological changes such as increased heart rate and a surge of adrenaline. This response is essential for survival, enabling quick reactions to potentially life-threatening situations. Fear may be triggered by both immediate, tangible threats, such as dangerous animals or unsafe environments, and more abstract or anticipatory concerns, including stress or anxiety-provoking scenarios. Additionally, fear can be learned through personal experiences or by observing others. Guy Evans, 2023.
Mechanisms that matter: helpful versus harmful approaches. Effective treatment of fear doesn't rely solely on technique. It also depends on how clients engage with their emotions. Helpful mechanisms include cognitive reappraisal. This involves reinterpreting the meaning of a feared stimulus or event, reducing its emotional charge. It supports emotional regulation without avoidance. And emotional processing, allowing the full experience of fear within a therapeutic context enables the nervous system to recalibrate. Harmful mechanisms, suppression. Efforts to suppress or ignore fear often backfire, increasing physiological arousal and perpetuating avoidance cycles. Another harmful mechanism is avoidance. While short-term relief may occur, chronic avoidance strengthens the belief that fear is unmanageable and reinforces the threat response.
From survival to empowerment, fear is not the enemy, it is a signal. When properly understood and worked through, fear can become a gateway to courage, growth, and emotional mastery. Through interventions like CBT, exposure, and reappraisal strategies, individuals can shift from being trapped in fear to regaining agency over it. The goal is not to eliminate fear, but to relate to it differently, transforming it from a life-limiting symptom into a manageable, even meaningful part of human experience.
Sometimes the smallest spark, an idea, a moment of clarity, a breath of courage, is all it takes to cut through the darkness of fear. Fear often feels like a suffocating shadow, convincing us that we're powerless or alone. But when that first spark of insight or hope ignites, it can illuminate a new path forward. From that single spark, hope begins to grow, not in a sudden blaze, but little by little, like a candle lighting another and then another. Each step forward, no matter how small, pushes the darkness back. What once felt overwhelming starts to lose its grip. It's important to remember that fear is not our enemy. One that signals caution, one that speaks in the language of survival. But we are not slaves to it. We can face it, understand it, and even transform it. From a grounded, wiser perspective, fear can become a teacher rather than a tyrant, guiding us toward growth instead of guarding us in place. When we honor the spark and give it room to grow, fear loses its power, and in its place we find clarity, strength, and a new beginning.
Thank you for being part of today's journey. Your time, attention, and openness reflect a shared commitment to understanding trauma and championing resilience, not just as clinical or academic concepts, but as lived realities that impact our families, communities, and futures. At the Center for Trauma and Resilience Research, we believe real change happens when knowledge meets compassion and when diverse voices come together to drive healing forward. Whether you're here to learn, advocate, collaborate, or reflect, your presence matters, and your efforts make a difference. As we close, we invite you to stay connected, continue the conversation, and carry forward what you've learned into the spaces where you live and lead. Healing is not linear, and resilience is not one size fits all, but together we can build systems, relationships, and responses that support recovery, dignity, and hope. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to walking this path with you. These are the key sources that inform this presentation. They represent research from psychology, theology, and cultural studies.